Integers Lesson A notes, starting with the definitions. If you're using the hard copy of notes that I gave you earlier, please take a moment, pause this video, and write down the definitions for integers, opposites, and absolute values. It is this definition here, here, and here that you need to write down. So take a minute, pause the video, and write those down. Okay, so integers are the set of whole numbers, including 0 and their opposites. The set of whole numbers, including 0 and their opposites. If you remember what a whole number is 1, 2, 3, 4. In other words, no fractions, no decimals. And then their opposites, so the opposite of 4 is -4. The opposite of 3 is -3, and so forth. And the set of integers also includes 0. So the examples for this is you put the 3 dots, that's called an ellipse. So put the ellipse and then -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then the ellipse. What does the ellipse mean? The ellipse means it goes on forever. In other words, this ellipse right here means it goes on forever in the negative direction. So it would still go -6, -7, and so forth. And then the ellipse on this side is that it goes on forever in the positive directions. So there is an infinite amount of integers. And this is just a small subset of what they would be. Opposites, I already kind of discussed what an opposite is. Opposite, though, the sum of opposite numbers is 0. The sum of opposites is 0. So 4 plus -4 is 0. 5 plus -5 is 0. 20 plus -20 is 0. So some examples of opposites. Let's go with -5 and 5. And by the way, this symbol right here is an AND symbol. It's not a plus sign, it's an AND symbol. You make it like that. All right, if you want to write a different AND symbol or write the word AND, I don't care, but that is an AND symbol, not a plus sign. So one example is -5 and 5. Another example of opposites, -22 and +22. And then the last example of opposites I'm going to use is -1001 and +1001. So those are opposites. In other words, it's a digit and then the negative if that digit. So 20, -20, 1,000, -1,000, and so forth. Absolute value. You've learned about absolute value before. Absolute value is the distance a number is from 0. The distance a number is from 0. So how far is -5 from 0? How far is 3 from 0? That would be your absolute value. Now, if you remember from science class, you should have learned that distance is never negative. So when it says the distance a number is from 0, this answer can never be negative. So take a moment, turn your paper sideways, and write down distance is never negative. Distance is never negative. Okay, so when it asks you the absolute value of -2, that is written like this. It's 2 long bars on both sides of the -2. And the absolute value of -2 is how far is -2 from 0. -2 is 2 spaces from 0, therefore the absolute value of -2 is 2. All right, a couple other examples. We'll go with the absolute value of -10. How far is -10 from 0? 10 spaces, so the absolute value of -10 is 10. The absolute value of -36. How far is -36 from 0? It's 36 spaces, so the absolute value is 36. One more example, let's do the absolute value of 7. Now this is where some people get confused and they want to put -7. All right, it's not that we're taking the opposite of these numbers, it's we're figuring out how far that number is from 0. And 7 is 7 spaces from 0. So the absolute value of 7 is 7. So one more thing I would like you to add here, underneath the word examples, I want you to put that it's never negative. So absolute value is never negative. Let's put that in parentheses. Absolute value is never negative. All right, that's the definitions. If you didn't get anything written down, pause your video, get everything written down.